All right, guys, we're sitting out here this morning. I've got the Legend out, and a subscriber asked me a question about optimum settings on the Legend. Well, let me go ahead and give a disclaimer. This is will be a good baseline, middle of the road type settings that I'm giving you here. I've tested it, and you can raise the recovery speed and get more separation, or you can lower the recovery speed and get more depth. So the program that I'm going to share with you, or the settings that I'm going to share with you, is kind of a middle of the road baseline where the machine has great separation and still has great depth. It's not one extreme or the other. So it's kind of the middle of the road, and your site will depend, well, you know, where the machine needs to be set up. So it depends on what type of site you're on. You may need to raise the recovery speed a little, and you may need to lower it a little if you're looking for deeper things. But this is a good middle of the road general program that should serve you well in finding deep targets and mass targets. But I like Park on the Legend, and I also like M2 on the Legend, as I'm a relic hunter. The Legend does really good in M2 multi-frequency. Now they put an M3 if you're coin hunting that deals with American foil better, so that might be an option for you if you're just straight coin hunting. But as far as relics and general hunting, I like M2. So M2 Park is where I like to start, and then we'll look at the recovery speed here. And a 5 or a 6 is a good general setting on the Legend, and it's still deep at those settings. And we'll walk around to the test garden in a minute, and I will show you the Legend on some deep targets at a 5 or 6. That's where I like to be on the recovery speed. Now the iron filter here, this could be a little tricky. There's a lot of iron filter settings on this, but I like a iron filter. Well, I've got stability of 4 showing on the camera, but let's click it over to the iron filter. I've got iron filter of 1, and I like a 4 or 5 on the iron filter. Now, you guys that are familiar with the Legend have seen guys in videos lower the tone brake down to get better separation. Well, I like the lower iron filter and stability setting. I don't really like to lower the tone brake so much, but you can have a play with that or go with that to see where you want to be. But I'll show you that real quick, and the dangers of the tone brake. So no bottle caps, as you've seen flashing the screen. Let's go over here to the tone brake real quick and look at it. So here's a 10 tone brake, and actually, let me cut the volume up on the machine first so you guys can hear it. And then we will go over to the tone brake, and we will look at this. So this is a square nail right here I've got laying on the ground. So let me just show you guys. Let me move the camera. Pardon the movement here, but I kind of want to show you guys this. And this is just something you need to be aware of if you lower the tone brake. So this is a tone brake of 10. And this is an iron volume of 4, so let me show you guys that. I like my Ferris. Well, I'm just going to tell you, it's a 4, and that's where I like it. Nice tone, right? But if you lower the tone brake down, you got to be careful. Nine, and back to a 10, and it knocks out the nail. The question with this would be, and I don't want to get too technical because this is my general settings, but you guys that have experimented with the Legend, do you get more out of it by lowering the tone brake to 8 and then raising the iron filter to 2 and maybe the stability or 4 or 5? But that's just a question. If you have an answer for that or a suggestion, comment below. But at this time, I like the tone brake at 10, iron filter 1, stability 3, 4, or 5. The lower I can get that stability, the better separation I seem to get out of the unit. But I've got to make sure that I'm not putting the unit where the fault's on iron and taking too much filter out of it. I like the pitch tones on this unit. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I got to rambling on about this iron filter and all. But I like Park, M2, I like a 5, 6, or 7 recovery speed. I don't really like to go above that, because the tone will shorten down so much on the Legend that it'll get hard for the machine becomes so fast it just shortens the tone down. And that is something that, if you don't know this, when you lower the recovery speed, it will lengthen the tone. So it will lengthen the tone on the non-ferrous. If you come across a coin, the tone will sound longer in your ear. If you raise the recovery speed, it will shorten it down because it's processing each signal so fast. So just keep that in mind and know that you'll have to pay attention that if it shortens it down some, you'll just have to pay more attention to it. 5, 6, or 7. Let's go around and look at some deep targets. The separation is good at 5, 6, or 7, but let me take you around to the test garden real quick and let's look at a couple of deep targets. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you what I was talking about here. We've got it set up in pitch. We've got the recovery speed at 6, and that's where we're going to run it. We're going to look at some targets real quick here. So give me just a minute. We're going to look at, let's see what we got where we can get the sensitivity. We're going to run it about 23. So this is a 5-inch dime on edge, setting straight up on edge, 5-inch dime. Absolutely no problem. This is a 12-inch silver half. Absolutely no problem. 10.5-inch silver dime. No problem. So you see the machine has got plenty of depth at a 6 recovery. Now I can get more out of it and I'll show you that in just a minute. Do I got anything else over here I want to show you? So let's look right here. This is a dime with a nail. So that's a 5-inch dime with a square nail laying beside it. We hear the machine chirping on the non-ferrous target. We've got a couple of other targets, but these main deep targets right here are a good example of the 12-inch silver half. Let me just show you recovery speed lowered if you're just searching for deep targets. Down to a 4 even if you're kind of in clean ground and the targets are deep. You hear that signal, how much stronger it is? Now, if you're in super heavy iron and you raise it to 7, the signal's going to get weaker. 8, 9. And I don't like to go that high. 7 is a good stopping point for me. You still got plenty of depth with a recovery of 7, and you still got great separation. But I like that 5 or 6. That 6 I really like. Let's listen one more time. And you still got great separation. So that's Park M2. I like to hear the iron, so just keep that in mind. I'm a relic hunter, but you may want to take that out and not listen to the ferrous rubbish. But, you know, that's where I'm at. That's just a good baseline settings, and I got orange paint on my thing because I had to spray my garden this morning and relocate some of my targets so I could do a video, but got to go wash my coil off before this orange paint sticks. But I hope that helps you guys. And we can, you know, if you have questions about iron filter stability and what that does, or whatever you have questions about, ask below. The iron filter is basically Nokta's way of dealing with iron and adding separation and letting you adjust the filters inside of the machine. And the settings that I gave you are pretty low filters, so just keep that in mind. If you do have any problems with iron, you can raise the iron filter maybe to 2, stability 5, or iron filter to 3, stability of 5, and that will help knock that out. But being the user that I am, or the detectorist I am, I like that filter really low because to me that gives you the unmasking advantage. As long as you keep the machine from going crazy and falsing too much, you know, you'll have to set it to your preference, I guess is the moral of that story. But thanks for watching Nokta Macro Legend settings, and stay tuned for more videos.